They yanked my hair in front of 30 people. The scent of vanilla cake mixed with broken laughter. My mother said, "You're a disgrace to this family." Aunt Lila smiled, raised her phone to record. I didn't cry. I counted my own heartbeat and started counting evidence. When they thought I'd stay silent, I turned on the speaker, pressed play, and the entire room changed color. My name is Harper Quinn, and I learned early that family isn't about blood, it's about who shows up when you're bleeding. At 29, I run logistics for Silverline Response Group in Maple Falls, Colorado. Crisis management taught me to see patterns others miss. Document everything. Trust sparingly. These skills served me well in conference rooms filled with executives sweating through their shirts. I never imagined I'd need them at my own baby shower. Cole Maddox, my partner of 3 years, understood this about me. While other men might have balked at my spreadsheets for grocery shopping or my color-coded emergency contacts, Cole, a wind engineer who spent his days calculating invisible forces, found it endearing. "You prepare for hurricanes," he'd say, kissing my temple. Even in Colorado, the hurricane had a name: Victor and Nora Quinn, my parents. The first crack appeared 6 weeks ago. We'd just closed on our house, a modest 3-bedroom ranch with mountain views and a yard big enough for a swing set. Cole and I sat at my parents' dining table, the same mahogany monstrosity where I'd eaten 29 years of silent dinners. My father slid a document across the polished surface. "Just a formality," Victor said, his voice smooth as the 18-year scotch he poured only for himself. "Adding our names to the deed, for tax purposes." I read every line, twice. "This gives you ownership rights. We're family." My mother, Nora, smiled the way she did when correcting my posture as a child, sharp and expectant. "Besides, if something happens to you both, someone needs to manage things for the baby." The baby, 7 months along, she rolled inside me like a warning. "We've established a trust," I said, placing my hand over my belly. "With an independent attorney as executor." The temperature dropped 10 degrees. Victor's jaw worked. Nora's fingers drummed once her tell. "You'd trust a stranger over your own parents?" she asked. "I'd trust legal documentation over verbal promises." That night, Cole held me while I mapped out what would come next. Because patterns don't lie. When control slips, controllers escalate. The baby fund appeared on social media the next week. My mother, who barely understood how to attach files to emails, suddenly became a crowdfunding expert. "Help Harper prepare for motherhood." The page chirped, complete with photos stolen from my private Instagram. Relatives I hadn't spoken to in years suddenly transferred money I never saw. Then came Aunt Lila, my mother's older sister, gliding in with her pageant smile and her mysterious church charity fund that needed just a few signatures, sweetheart. She had this way of laughing, a tinkling sound that made you feel stupid for asking questions. She laughed a lot when I asked about documentation. Small things vanished from our baby registry: the high-end monitor, the organic cotton bedding set. When I called the stores, they claimed the items had been picked up. "Family member," they said. "Had your registry number?" Cole installed cameras inside, outside, doorbell, garage. "For the baby." We told everyone. Really. We were documenting the escalation. 3 nights ago, I discovered the insurance policy. Victor had listed himself as beneficiary on a life insurance plan with me as the insured. The signature on the consent form was mine, except I'd never seen the document before. The metadata showed it was created on Nora's laptop. "They're building a case," Cole said, his engineer's mind calculating trajectories. "Financial need, family involvement. If something happens to you, nothing's going to happen to me." I pulled up my spreadsheet, the one labeled Family Contingencies. "Because we're going to document everything, every interaction, every transaction, every threat." "Harper, these are your parents." "No," I corrected, adding another line to my evidence log. "These are 2 people who see me as an investment opportunity. And Lila, she's the one who taught them how to package it pretty." The baby shower invitation had gone out before the house incident. Canceling would show weakness. Besides, I needed witnesses for what came next. Because here's what 29 years taught me: when someone tells you who they are, document it. When they escalate, record it. And when they strike, because they always strike, make sure the whole world is watching. The Riverview Lodge smelled like lemon pledge and old celebrations. Pastel balloons bobbed against the ceiling, pink and yellow. Gender neutral because we'd wanted surprise. 30 people filled the community room, their voices creating that particular pitch of forced festivity. 3:45 p.m. on a Saturday. I'd chosen the time deliberately late enough for drinks, early enough for evidence. Cole's hand found mine as we entered. Cameras. Doorbell got them arriving, I murmured. And I've got backup. The backup was subtle, a tiny microphone tucked behind the speaker stand. Perfectly legal thanks to the recording in progress sign I'd posted by the entrance. People never read signs at parties. My mother swooped in, all air kisses and performance. There's our mother-to-be, her voice carried across the room. Always performed better with an audience. Nora did. Behind her, Victor stood sentinel by the gift table, cataloging who brought what. Aunt Lila floated between groups, that tinkling laugh punctuating conversations about due dates and nursery colors. Everything proceeded normally until 4:20 p.m. Before we open gifts, I announced, standing despite my back's protest. Cole and I want to share some decisions about the baby's future. The room quieted. Forks paused over cake. We've established a trust for our child, I continued, my voice steady as a conference call. Our friend Mara has agreed to serve as guardian should anything happen to us. We've also completed our estate planning with Arbor and Wren Legal. The silence stretched like skin over a wound. Mara. Nora's voice could have frozen champagne. That woman from your work, she's not even family. She's trustworthy, I replied. That matters more than DNA. Victor moved then, crossing the room in 4 strides. You ungrateful. He caught himself, remembering the audience. We need to discuss this privately. No, I said. Transparency is important in families, isn't it? That's what you always taught me. You'd give our grandchild to strangers. Nora's voice climbed octaves. After everything we've done for you, what exactly have you done, Mother? The question hung there. Someone coughed. A child in the corner whined about wanting more juice. The baby fund raised almost $3,000, I continued. Where is that money? It's being managed, Lila interjected smoothly, gliding over with her phone already in hand. These things take time to process, sweetheart. Through Bright Vista Family Aid, I asked, your charity. Her smile flickered like a bad bulb. That's when Nora snapped. Such a disgrace. The words exploded from her as her hand tangled in my hair, yanking hard enough to bring tears. After everything, you're such a disgrace to this family. Victor's hands clamped on my shoulders, forcing me down into the chair. The room gasped collectively 30 witnesses to assault. Someone's champagne glass hit the floor, and Lila raised her phone and smiled wider, recording everything like she was capturing memories for a scrapbook. I didn't fight back. Fighting back would muddy the evidence. Instead, I counted 3 seconds of hair pulling, 5 seconds of shoulder restraint, 8 witnesses within direct sight lines, 1 camera angle from the doorbell outside, 1 microphone recording every word. You need to learn respect, Victor hissed near my ear, bourbon thick on his breath. Sign the papers, Harper. Don't make this difficult. Cole was there in an instant, pulling Victor's hands off me. Touch her again and You'll what? Victor squared up to him. You think you can protect her from her own family? Stop someone. Maybe my cousin Janet tried to intervene. There's children here. Nora released my hair, stepping back with the practiced grace of someone who knew exactly how far to push without leaving admissible bruises. But she'd miscalculated. 3 strands of my hair remained twisted in her wedding ring, and the scalp where she'd pulled was already welting. "We're leaving," Cole announced, his arm around me. "Run away, then," Nora called after us. "But family is forever. Harper, you can't paperwork your way out of blood." As we reached the door, I turned back. The room looked like a crime scene frozen in time cake half eaten, gifts unopened, people standing in clusters whispering. Lila was showing her recording to a small group, their faces shifting between shock and something worse, amusement. "Thank you all for coming," I said clearly, my voice carrying over the whispers. "And thank you for witnessing this. If anyone has photos or videos, my attorney would appreciate copies." The drive home was silent except for my documentation. 4:27 p.m. Physical assault initiated. Multiple witnesses. Video evidence secured from 3 sources minimum. Visible injuries include scalp abrasions and shoulder bruising. Need medical documentation within 2 hours for legal purposes. Cole's knuckles were white on the steering wheel. "Harper." "I know," I said, already composing the email to our lawyer. "They just made our case for us." The emergency room doctor photographed everything's scalp abrasions, finger marks on shoulders, the small scratch where Mother's ring caught skin. "Domestic incident," she asked, her voice carefully neutral. "Family disagreement," I replied. "At a baby shower, 30 witnesses." She made notes, added them to my file. Chain of custody for evidence starts with medical records. That night, while Cole iced my shoulders, we began excavating the truth. I'd learned in crisis management that people who commit one violation rarely stop there. Patterns repeat, crimes compound. "Pull the baby fund transactions," I told Cole, my laptop warming my swollen belly. "Every penny." The fund had raised $3,247. Transfers came from aunts, uncles, cousins, family friends, people who genuinely wanted to help. The money went into an account my mother controlled, then disappeared into something called Bright Vista Family Aid. "That's Lila's charity," Cole said, scrolling through state registrations. "Registered as a 501c3. But look at this. The charity's address was Lila's home. Its board of directors consisted of Lila, her hairdresser, and someone named Marcus Webb, who, after 15 minutes of searching, turned out to be her personal trainer. Classic shell organization. "Download everything," I instructed. Screenshots, PDFs, metadata. While Cole handled the financial forensics, I dove into email archives. My parents had given me access to the family cloud storage years ago. They'd never revoked it. Sloppy. Or maybe they just never imagined I'd look. At 11:43 p.m., I found it. An email thread between Nora and Victor, dated 2 weeks ago. Subject line H situation. From Victor. "Lawyer says if she's declared unfit after birth, custody defaults to next of kin. Need documentation of instability." From Nora. "Lila's recording everything, the hormonal outbursts, the paranoia about family. Building a file." From Victor. "What about the property transfer?" From Nora. "Working on it. Found a sample signature from her college loans." My hands shook, not from fear, from rage cold as surgical steel. "Harper," Cole's voice pulled me back. "You need to see this." He'd tracked the Bright Vista money. $3,000 from the baby fund had entered the account. Within days, $2,500 transferred to administrative costs. The administrative costs, a new living room set from Restoration Hardware, delivered to Lila's address. The receipts were all there, barely disguised. "She's not even trying to hide it," Cole muttered. "She doesn't think she needs to," I replied, screenshotting everything. "Who's going to challenge the loving aunt, the church volunteer, the woman who smiles while recording assault?" My phone buzzed. "Delaney, our lawyer. Despite the late hour, reviewed the footage you sent. Clear assault, can file emergency protective order Monday morning. Need all documentation you've collected." I stayed up until 3 a.m., building our case with the methodical precision of someone who'd spent years preparing for other people's disasters. Financial fraud documented. Assault recorded. Conspiracy for custody written in their own words. Identity theft with the forged insurance documents federal crime. The next morning, Sunday, Lila texted the family group chat, praying for Harper's mental health during this difficult time. Pregnancy hormones can really affect judgment. 14 relatives hearted the message. 3 offered prayers. My cousin Janet privately messaged, "I have video from yesterday. Your mom was out of line. Let me know if you need it." "Send everything," I replied. By Sunday evening, I had 16 videos of the assault from different angles. The doorbell camera caught Victor and Nora arriving. Victor stumbling slightly, day drinking before a baby shower. The microphone picked up everything, including a pre-party conversation where Nora told Lila, "If she won't sign willingly, we'll make her look unstable enough that no court would side with her." Premeditation, conspiracy, all admissible. Cole found more. The life insurance policy Victor took out. He'd been paying premiums for 4 months. The beneficiary allocations 40% to him, 40 to Nora, 20 to Lila. They'd literally calculated my worth and divided it. "There's something else," Cole said Monday morning, his face grim. "That Thanksgiving video you mentioned Lila taking last year, she posted it on her private Facebook." Want to see what she captioned it? I looked. The video showed me discussing my pregnancy concerns with my mother, worried about balancing work and motherhood. Lila's caption, "Poor Harper, already cracking under pressure. Some people just aren't meant to be mothers. Thank God she has family to step in," posted 4 months ago. They'd been planning this since I announced my pregnancy. I compiled everything into folders: financial crimes, assault evidence, conspiracy documentation, identity theft, defamation. Each folder contained subfolders, meticulously organized, every piece of evidence labeled with date, time, source. You know what the beautiful part is? I told Cole as I uploaded everything to our lawyer's secure server. They think I'm the weak one, hormonal, unstable. They have no idea what someone who manages international logistics disasters can do with domestic evidence. My phone rang. "Mother." "Harper, sweetheart," she cooed. "Let's not let yesterday's little misunderstanding get blown out of proportion. Why don't you come for brunch next Sunday? Lila's hosting. We can work this all out as a family." "That sounds perfect," I replied, my voice matching her sweetness. "What time?" 2 p.m. And Harper, bring those paperwork you mentioned. I'm sure we can find a compromise. I hung up and looked at Cole. "They want me to bring the trust documents to brunch." "It's a trap." "No," I corrected, pulling up our evidence folders. "It's an opportunity. They just don't know for whom." Monday morning, 9:15 a.m. Arbor and Wren Legal's conference room. Delaney Mitchell spread our evidence across the mahogany table like a general planning invasion routes. "This is prosecutable on multiple levels," she said, adjusting her glasses. "The assault alone gets us a restraining order. But this," she tapped the financial documents. "This is RICO territory. Conspiracy, wire fraud, identity theft. Your aunt's charity fraud makes it federal." "I want them stopped," I said. "Permanently. Then we go nuclear." Delaney pulled out her legal pad. "Emergency protective order against your parents that's immediate. Report to the IRS about the charity. File with the State Attorney General's Office for fraud. Contact the FBI's white-collar crime division about the insurance fraud. And we prepare a civil suit for damages." Cole squeezed my hand. "What about the brunch Sunday?" Delaney smiled sharp as a scalpel. "You're going to that brunch, but you're going prepared." We spent the week building weapons from truth. Tuesday filed the emergency protective order, granted immediately based on video evidence. Victor and Nora couldn't come within 300 feet of me, Cole, or our property. The sheriff would serve them Wednesday morning. Wednesday reported Bright Vista Family Aid to the IRS and Colorado Secretary of State. Attached every receipt, every transaction, every piece of evidence showing personal use of charitable funds. The state froze the account pending investigation. Thursday, met with Detective Sarah Chen from Financial Crimes Division. She watched the videos, reviewed the forged insurance documents, studied the email chains. "This is organized fraud," she said. "We'll coordinate with federal authorities." Friday. Delaney filed our civil suit. Assault, intentional infliction of emotional distress, fraud, conspiracy to commit fraud, identity theft. We named all three Victor, Nora, and Lila. The damages requested were specific return of all baby fund money to donors, punitive damages for assault, treble damages for fraud under Colorado law. But the masterstroke was simpler. "Record everything at that brunch," Delaney instructed. "Colorado is a one-party consent state. Every word they say is admissible." Saturday night, I prepared my tools, a tiny recorder in my purse. My phone set to voice memo. Cole's phone as backup. The mini projector I used for work presentations. A flash drive with every piece of evidence. Print copies in a locked briefcase. "You sure about this?" Cole asked, watching me organize documents with military precision. "They want to play family," I replied, adding the life insurance fraud to my stack. "Let's show them what family accountability looks like." Sunday morning, 1 p.m. I called Nora. "Mom, I wanted to confirm we're still on for 2. "Of course, sweetheart. Lila's made her famous quiche. Should I bring anything?" "Just those papers we discussed, and an open mind." "I'll bring everything," I promised. Next, I texted Lila. "Looking forward to discussing the family's future. Hope you have your financial records handy for the charity. I have some donors asking questions." She replied with prayer hands and hearts. No words. She knew. Finally, I called Victor at 1:30 p.m. "Running a few minutes late," I lied. "But I wanted you to know I've reconsidered your position on the house papers." His voice warmed instantly. "I knew you'd come to your senses." "Family first, right." "Exactly. Family first." I hung up and looked at Cole. They'll all be loose, thinking they've won. That's when people tell the truth. We loaded the car projector, screen, briefcase of evidence, recording devices. But first, I made 3 more calls. Janet, my cousin with video evidence. "If you don't hear from me by 4 p.m., please forward everything to Detective Chen. Mara, our chosen guardian. Documents are in the safe. If anything happens, you know what to do." And finally, a number Delaney had given me. "Ms. Quinn, this is Agent Bradley from FBI White Collar Division. We'll be standing by." "They won't get violent with witnesses present," I assured him. "We'll have units nearby regardless. Your aunt's charity fraud triggered a larger investigation." "We were already monitoring." 2 p.m. approached like a storm system on radar, inevitable, measurable, precise. Cole drove. I sat in the passenger seat, one hand on my belly where our daughter tumbled, the other holding my phone. "Already recording." "Ready," he asked as we pulled up to Lila's craftsman-style house. White shutters, perfect lawn, ceramic angels in the garden, a stage set for suburban sanctity. "I've been ready for 29 years, I replied. We walked to the door, evidence in hand. The doorbell camera caught us arriving Lila's own security system about to document her downfall. From inside, laughter, multiple voices. They'd brought an audience. Good. The more witnesses, the better. I rang the bell at exactly 2 p.m., time to show them what disgrace really looked like. The door opened before my finger left the bell. Lila stood there in pearls and a Sunday dress. Her smile practiced as a pageant queen's. Harper Cole. Come in. Everyone's here." Everyone was right. Beyond the foyer, 15 relatives clustered in the living room, the same audience from the baby shower, plus reinforcements. They'd brought a jury. "We're so glad you came to your senses," Aunt Lila said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Family should stick together, especially with a baby coming." I let my hand rest on my belly. "Absolutely. That's why documentation is so important." Something flickered in her eyes, but the smile held. In the living room, Victor commanded the wingback chair like a throne. Nora perched on the sofa, coffee table arranged with documents, The trust papers. I noticed. The ones they wanted me to sign. Harper. Victor didn't stand. Let's handle this quickly. Of course. I set down my briefcase. But first, I had some questions about the charity. Lila's laugh tinkled. Oh, honey, that's all boring paperwork. Let's focus on, I have donors asking where their money went. I pulled out my phone, pretending to check messages. Really, ensuring the recording was clear. $3,247. They'd like receipts. These things take time to process, Lila said smoothly. How much time does Restoration Hardware take to deliver? I asked. The living room set looks beautiful. By the way. Silence. Someone cousin Marcus shifted uncomfortably. What are you implying? Nora's voice could have frozen blood. I'm not implying anything. I opened my laptop. I have the receipts. Would you like to see them? You ungrateful. Victor started to rise. Video call. I announced brightly, turning my laptop screen toward the room. Mom, remember you wanted to discuss the house papers. Let's do it now, with everyone here. I initiated a FaceTime to Cole's phone, which he held up, creating a second recording angle. You said something interesting last week, Mom, about putting your names on our deed. Can you explain to everyone why Nora's face cycled through emotions? It's for your protection. Protection from what? From bad decisions, Victor interjected. You're clearly not thinking straight. Because I won't give you control of my assets. Because you're hormonal and paranoid. Nora snapped, then caught herself, remembering the recording. I mean, pregnancy is difficult. We just want to help. Like you helped with the life insurance policy. The room temperature dropped 10 degrees. What life insurance? Lila asked. All innocence. I pulled out the printed policy. The one Victor took out on my life 4 months ago. Forged my signature. Federal crime, by the way. You can't prove. Victor stopped himself. Can't prove what that the metadata shows it was created on Mom's laptop. That the signature was copied from my college loan documents. That you're the beneficiary. Cousin Janet stood up. I think I should go. Stay. I said. You're all witnesses. My phone buzzed. A text from Mara. Dee is trying to move money. Bank flagged it. Perfect timing. Aunt Lila, I said sweetly. Why is Bright Vista's account frozen? Her smile finally cracked. What? The state froze it Thursday. Fraud investigation. Did you not get the notice? She grabbed her phone, fingers flying. Her face went white. While you're checking that, I continued, maybe explain to everyone how their donations bought your furniture. This is ridiculous, Victor boomed. Sign the papers or get out. Which papers? I asked. The ones giving you control of my house or the ones you want for custody of my daughter? Nora stood abruptly. We're your parents. We have rights. Actually, you don't. I pulled out another document. This is a restraining order. Filed Monday, approved Wednesday. You're currently in violation by being within 300 feet of me. You called us here, Lila shrieked. I said I'd come to brunch. I never said it was legal for you to be here when I arrived. Cole stepped forward. We have everything recorded, every threat, every admission. You can't record without consent, Victor snarled. Colorado is one-party consent, I replied. I consented. I opened my briefcase wider, letting them see the stacks of evidence. Fraud, assault, conspiracy, identity theft. The FBI is particularly interested in the charity fraud. FBI. Lila's voice cracked. Multi-state wire fraud. I explained. Some donors were from Wyoming, Utah. That makes it federal. My phone rang. I answered on speaker. Ms. Quinn. Agent Bradley's voice filled the room. We're in position. Are you safe? Yes, I replied, watching my family's faces crumble. They're all here. Don't move, Victor commanded the room. She's bluffing. I pulled out the mini projector. Should we review the evidence together? Start with the baby shower assault. You wouldn't, Nora whispered. You pulled my hair in front of 30 people, I said. You called me a disgrace. Lila filmed it. So yes, I would. The doorbell rang. Everyone froze. That'll be law enforcement, I said calmly. Lila, you should probably answer. It's your house. She didn't move. The doorbell rang again, followed by knocking. Ms. Lila Morrison, this is the Colorado Attorney General's office. We have a warrant. Lila's living room transformed into my courtroom. The ceramic angels on her mantel watched as I plugged in the projector, its blue light cutting through afternoon shadows. Law enforcement waited outside. I'd asked for 10 minutes. Since we're all here, I announced, let's review the family history. The first slide illuminated the wall, the baby shower video, frozen on my mother's contorted face, her hand tangled in my hair. Such a disgrace, I quoted. That's what you said, Mom. I clicked play. The room filled with the sound of my mother's rage, my father's grip on my shoulders, the gasps of 30 witnesses. But what they hadn't noticed that day, what the camera caught perfectly, was Lila in the corner, phone raised, smiling as she filmed. Turn it off, Victor commanded. We're just getting started. Next slide. The money trail. Arrows connecting the baby fund to Bright Vista to Restoration Hardware. Receipts. Bank statements. Everything in forensic detail. $3,200, I narrated. Raised from family who wanted to help with the baby. Spent on Italian leather. Cousin Marcus stood to leave. Sit down, I said quietly. You're all accomplices or witnesses. Choose. He sat. Next. The email chains. I'd blown them up, highlighted the key phrases. If she's declared unfit after birth, custody defaults to next of kin. My father's words. 48-point font. Lila's recording everything. My mother's response. Found a sample signature from her college loans. The smoking gun. You went through our private emails. Nora's voice shook. The family cloud account, I reminded her. You gave me access. Never revoked it. Next, the insurance documents. The forged signature enlarged until even the copied imperfections were visible. 4 months of premiums, I said. $8,000 policy on my life. You've been paying $200 a month. Dad, planning my death that long. It was just financial planning. With a forged signature, that's conspiracy to commit insurance fraud. Ask Agent Bradley when he comes in. Lila's phone buzzed incessantly. Text after text lighting up her screen. The banks, the state, the walls closing in. This is blackmail, she said. This is evidence. I clicked to the next slide, her Facebook post from Thanksgiving. Some people just aren't meant to be mothers. Thank God she has family to step in. Posted 4 months before the baby shower. I continued. Premeditation takes time, doesn't it? The doorbell rang again. Harder knocking. Ms. Morrison, we need you to open this door. Harper, please. My mother tried, her voice different now, desperate. We're family. No. I clicked to the next slide, photos from the emergency room, the welts on my scalp, the bruises on my shoulders. Family doesn't do this. It was a moment of anger. It was assault, battery, in front of children. I turned to the rest of the relatives. How many of you knew? How many of you got texts from Lila about my mental state? How many of you contributed to a fund that became fraud? Silence except for the knocking, now accompanied by, "We're coming in." Here's what happens next, I said, closing the laptop. The FBI takes Lila for charity fraud and wire fraud across state lines. The state prosecutes the assault. The IRS investigates every tax return she's filed. And you? I looked at my parents. You're served with restraining orders you've already violated. You planned this, Victor said, something like admiration creeping into his rage. I documented reality. You created it. The door splintered. Law enforcement flooded in state police. FBI agents. Everything orchestrated like the crisis management scenarios I'd run 100 times. Lila Morrison. Agent Bradley approached. You're under arrest for wire fraud, charity fraud, and money laundering." As they read her rights, I pulled out one last document. "Before you're all separated," I announced, "anyone who received money from the baby fund has 72 hours to return it. Full amount. The account information is here. After 72 hours, you become co-conspirators." 15 phones came out immediately, people frantically transferring money. Harper, Lila called as they cuffed her. "I was trying to help. Tell them I was trying to help." "You were trying to steal," I corrected, "from your unborn grandniece. Help looks different." They led her out past the ceramic angels, past the perfect lawn, into the patrol car. Neighbors gathered on sidewalks, phones out, recording everything. Lila's perfect reputation dissolved in real time. "Mr. and Mrs. Quinn," another officer approached. "We need you to come with us. Violation of protective order." My mother looked at me, tears finally breaking through. "How could you—" "You taught me," I said simply. "Document everything. Trust no one. Family first, my real family. The one I'm building with Cole. The one I'll protect from people like you." As they led my parents out, Victor turned back. "This isn't over." "Yes," I said, handing the officer another folder. "It is. That's the insurance fraud file. Federal crime. You're done." The room emptied except for Cole and me, relatives scattered like roaches when lights flip on. Only Janet lingered. "The money's already transferred back," she said quietly, showing me her phone. "I'm sorry. I should have said something at the shower." "You recorded it," I replied. That was enough. When everyone was gone, I stood in Lila's perfect living room. The projector still hummed. The ceramic angels still smiled. But the performance was over. Cole wrapped his arms around me. "You okay?" I felt our daughter kick strong, insistent, already fighting. "We're safe now," I told her, told him, told myself. That's all that matters. The courthouse hallway smelled like floor wax and fear. 3 days after the arrests, we faced each other across 20 feet of marble, my parents, their lawyer, and the weight of paper that would sever us forever. I placed the restraining order on the bench between us. Embossed seal, judge's signature. The law's clean violence. "Permanent protective order," I announced, my voice echoing off stone walls. "No contact, no third-party contact. No proximity to our home, workplace, or child." Victor's lawyer, a thin man who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else, whispered urgently to my father. But Victor's eyes stayed on me, calculating angles for a comeback that wouldn't come. "The criminal charges," I continued, setting down the next folder. "Assault, battery, conspiracy. Your trial dates are set." Nora hadn't spoken since the arrest. She sat hollow-eyed, her perfect makeup cracked, the performance of motherhood finally over. "But I'm offering you something." I pulled out Delaney's carefully drafted agreement. "A deal." Victor leaned forward. Even caged, he searched for leverage. "Drop all claims to our property. Sign away any imagined grandparent rights. Return the baby fund money your portion, since the others already have. Write letters of apology to every donor admitting the fraud. Post them publicly. In exchange," the lawyer asked, "I don't pursue maximum criminal penalties. You get probation instead of prison." "Probably. Probably. I don't control the federal insurance fraud investigation. That's between you and the FBI." I set down photos from the emergency room, my scalp, my shoulders. The doctor's notes about stress potentially triggering early labor. "You could have killed her," Cole said quietly. "My daughter, your granddaughter." "We never meant," Nora started. "Intent doesn't matter. Impact does." I placed the final document on the bench. "You have 48 hours to decide." "This is extortion," Victor spat. "This is consequence." I turned to Nora. "You wanted me to be obedient, grateful, silent, but you forgot you raised me in your image. Calculating, documented, ruthless when threatened. We're your parents, she whispered. Biologically. Nothing more. Delaney stepped forward. My client has also prepared civil suits: assault, intentional infliction of emotional distress, conspiracy to defraud. The damages could exceed $500,000, unless you sign. Victor's lawyer did math on his legal pad. Criminal defense fees, civil litigation costs, the federal investigation, prison versus probation, money hemorrhaging everywhere. We need time. 48 hours, I repeated. And one more requirement. I pulled out my phone, showed them the drafted statement. You'll read this, on video, posted to the same social media where you announced the baby fund. Victor read it, his face purpling. This admits everything. Everything you did. No one will. Everyone will. Every relative, every friend, every person at your country club, mom, every business contact, dad. They'll all know exactly who you are. Silence stretched like scar tissue. If we refuse, Victor asked, federal prison, financial ruin, and I'll still get the restraining order. You'll never meet your granddaughter either way. This just determines whether you do it from a cell. Nora broke. The sound started low, a keening that built to sobs. I thought if we had control, if we could just control me, protect you. From what independent success? A loving partner who doesn't manipulate me. She had no answer. The truth was simpler. They'd wanted ownership of me, my child, my future. Control dressed as care. Aunt Lila took a plea deal, I informed them. 18 months federal prison, 3 years probation, full restitution plus fines. She rolled on you immediately, by the way. Gave them everything about the insurance fraud. Victor's jaw worked. Family loyalty means nothing to you. I learned from the best. Cole stepped forward. We're done here. You have 48 hours. As we turned to leave, Nora called out, Harper, the baby. What's her name? I stopped, considered. Elena, after Cole's grandmother, a woman who actually knew how to love. Will you ever forgive you? I turned back. Forgiveness requires repentance. Repentance requires acknowledgement. You're still trying to negotiate. So, no. Then why offer the deal? Because I want you gone, not martyred. I want you alive somewhere else, knowing every day what you lost. Prison would make you victims in your own minds. Freedom with consequence, that's the real punishment. Delaney handed their lawyer the paperwork. 48 hours. Then we proceed with maximum prosecution. We left them there, in that hallway that smelled like floor wax and fear. My parents know. Victor and Nora. They'd lost the right to those titles sitting with their cheap lawyer and expensive consequences. In the parking lot, Cole helped me into the car. My belly made everything awkward now. 8 months of proof that life continues despite chaos. You think they'll sign? He asked. They'll sign. Victor can't risk federal prison. His reputation matters more than his pride. And Nora. She'll do whatever he decides. She always has. My phone buzzed. A text from Mara. Nursery's finished. Want to see? I smiled. The first real smile in weeks. Let's go home. No regrets, Cole asked, pulling into traffic. I thought about the family dinners we'd never have, the grandparents our daughter would never know, the history we were amputating like a diseased limb. Relief, I said finally. Just relief. The restraining order was just paper. The real barrier was stronger, the decision to protect my daughter from the people who'd tried to destroy me. Some cycles end only when someone chooses to break them. I chose her. I chose us. I chose the family we were building on foundations stronger than blood choice, respect, and documented trust. 47 hours later, they signed everything. The federal courthouse steps stretched below us like a waterfall of justice. 6:50 p.m. Golden hour painting Denver in shades of accountability. Lila emerged in handcuffs, her pearl necklace replaced with steel chains. That practiced smile finally, permanently gone. 18 months federal prison, 3 years probation, 75,000 in restitution and fines. The charity dissolved, its fraud exposed in the Denver Post, the Colorado Sun, every local news outlet that loved a fallen philanthropist story. "Wait," I called out. The federal marshals paused. Lila turned. Hope flickering in her eyes, maybe her niece would show mercy. Speak on her behalf. Salvage something from the wreckage. I walked down 3 steps, close enough for her to see my face clearly. "The ribbon," I said quietly. "From the blessing brunch you never got to host. I brought it." I pulled out the white satin ribbon she'd hung over her fireplace, the one that said blessings in gold script. I held it up, then let it fall at her feet. "Your blessing became evidence," I said. "Testimony 4B in the prosecution files." The marshals led her away. No tears, no final words, just the sound of chains against concrete, fading into the federal detention van. Behind us, Victor and Nora stood with their probation officer. They'd signed everything: the apologies, the admissions, the permanent severance of any claim to my life or my daughter's. The Facebook video confession had been viewed 47,000 times. Their country club memberships revoked, their social standing destroyed. They'd kept their freedom but lost everything else. "Harper," Nora tried one last time. I didn't turn. Elena kicked inside me, and I placed my hand over her, a promise and a shield. "Let's go," I told Cole. The Denver Post photographer caught it perfectly, me walking away, hand on my belly, while my parents stood frozen in the background, ghosts in their own story. The headline would read, "Colorado woman exposes family fraud ring. Aunt sentenced to federal prison." But that wasn't the real story. The real story happened 2 weeks later, at 3:17 a.m., when Elena arrived screaming and perfect. Mara stood where my mother should have, holding my hand. Cole cried harder than our daughter. The room filled with chosen family friends who'd become siblings, mentors who'd become parents, love measured in presence, not DNA. No one pulled my hair. No one called me a disgrace. No one tried to steal her before she could even breathe. The custody documents were ironclad. The restraining orders, permanent. The trust, managed by people who understood that love meant protection, not possession. 6 months later, I received a letter forwarded through Delaney, Nora's handwriting, still perfect despite everything. "I understand now," she wrote. "We raised you to be strong enough to destroy us. That's the only good thing we ever did." I burned it in the fireplace, watching their last words become ash. Elena giggled from her bouncer, reaching for the light dancing on the walls. She'd never know them, never fear them, never count her heartbeats while they raged. Sometimes Victor appeared in the Walmart parking lot, watching from the legal 301 feet away. The police always came quickly. The violations added up another year of probation. Then 2. He couldn't stop trying to control something, even if it was just the view. Lila served 14 months with good behavior. Last I heard, she worked at a call center in Aurora, selling warranties to people who didn't need them. The IRS garnished 60% of her wages. She'd be paying restitution until she died. But none of that mattered anymore. What mattered was Elena's first laugh, Cole singing off-key lullabies, Mara bringing Sunday dinners, building traditions free from manipulation, holidays without violence, a future where love didn't require documentation for court. I still keep files, still document everything. Some habits, born from survival, become permanent. But now I document different things' first steps. Finger paintings. The way Elena says mama like it's the safest word in the world. Because it is. I made it safe. Standing in our backyard, watching Cole push Elena on the swing we installed where I'd once imagined one. I thought about patterns, how they repeat until someone breaks them, how breaking them breaks you first, then rebuilds you stronger. The investigator in me documented the scene Sunday afternoon. Clear sky, laughter without fear, a family defined not by blood but by choice. Safety measured in distances 300 feet of legal space, 18 months of federal time, a lifetime of consequences for those who confused love with ownership. They pulled my hair at my baby shower, called me a disgrace. They were right about one thing: I was a disgrace to their version of family. Thank God for that. The swing creaked rhythmically. Elena shrieked with joy. Cole caught my eye and smiled. This was the only revenge that mattered: a life lived freely, completely, without them. The rest was just paperwork. Thank you so much for listening to my story. I'd love to know where you're listening from. Please share in the comments below so we can connect. If this story resonated with you, please subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts. Your experiences and perspectives mean everything to this community.